Welcome to LBM Talks Social Media. I'm Sally Lacey, the social media manager for LBM Journal, and every other week I have conversations with lumber dealers from around the country about how they're using social media to grow their business. I hope you stick around, because it's time to get social. Hello, Thom Cafaro.
Sally, how are you today?
I'm so great. Welcome to LBM Talks Social Media.
Woo!
Woo! So happy to have you on.
Thanks. This is fun.
Yes, to talk about Arnold Lumber's presence on social media. You guys are really active, doing a lot on there, so I'm excited to get your thoughts on all of it.
Sure. Great. Let's do it.
Let's just start with an intro, Thom, if you want to introduce who you are, who you work for, how long you've been doing it.
Yeah. Thom Cafaro with Arnold Lumber. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing. It was 1 year in December that I've been with Arnold Lumber. So in the world of lumber, not very long at all. But we had a real fun year, that's for sure. They really let us do some cool things and sort of kickstart a whole new approach. It's been fun.
You guys have been doing a lot of new things, so we'll be talking about that. So you are the Director of Sales and Marketing. What were you doing prior to working for Arnold Lumber?
I mean, always in sales, some form of sales, and usually that coincides with marketing. So everything from advertising sales, print advertising, digital media advertising sales. I've done retail sales. I've been part of a startup company that was a technologies company that went to a consumer soft goods products company. So always involved in some form of sales and marketing.
So you have a team, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it your marketing team?
Yeah. I mean, when I started there was me, then added another, then an intern came on board who converted into staying on board and helping us out. And then we needed a graphics design. All of a sudden, we went to a 4-person marketing team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's our current setup right now. Myself and our events coordinator, Stephanie, Matt B, who does a lot of our graphic works, and Cameron, who kind of is the digital media coordinator and does a lot of that collecting, curating, scheduling, and management around how we get our digital in front of people.
Wow, that really shows how much work it really is to have all of these digital assets, to edit them and plan them out and schedule them. It shows that there's just a lot to manage. Yeah.
There is, if you're doing it as a business, which this is, and you want to make it a real part of your marketing effort, like anything else in a business, you want to have some control around it. Now, you don't want it to be so stuffy that it comes off just phony and boring. So we want there to be some spontaneity to it as well. But, we do treat it like it's a piece of business. So there's content collection, which is pretty much anything and everything. Hey, one of our suppliers is doing a pop-up out in the parking lot. Let's go get some content on. Oh, hey, we got a cool project that's happening down the street. Why don't we get that? Oh, somebody's participating in a fun run this weekend. Maybe. So all that content gets collected, but then what?
Yeah.
We got to kind of,
and then you got to figure out
what goes where and when and how.
Exactly.
And does it matter? And a lot of stuff we collect doesn't ever go anywhere.
Right.
But we have found the key is collect it anyway.
Yes.
Get it. And then we can, at least we got it. We can always figure out how we turn that into something later. But when you start doing that, because in the beginning it's fun. It's, get it, put it up. Hey, let's do that, put it up. And it's kind of just spontaneous and not a lot of rhyme and reason. But once we start putting a plan to it all, Now we got to categorize it because we got to catalog this stuff. We don't want to lose it. And if we collected 10 great things, and we're just putting them away for now, oh man, 4 months later, we want to pull that out. Where does it go? So the boring process of all of it is, okay, the content comes in, there's the raw content gets put in a file under some category silo of things that we do. And that can be anything from our people, and our crew, to what's going on in operations or deliveries. There might be some job site footage. Maybe it's stuff about products and our suppliers, an event that we're working on. We want to spotlight one of our partners, or it's just something compelling that's going on. We had the roof reshingled, so let's get video of that. Why not? Categorizing it, having folders somewhere in a digital media shared drive. What's raw footage? What raw footage has been reworked and processed and put it? So there's content collection, then there's content creation. Now what do we do? Okay, well, now there's content scheduling. So, and we can go on and on in the process, but if we treat it like a business, okay, what's our goal? Well, we want to get attention or draw some attention to this aspect of something. Well, we just did that 3 times in a row. Maybe we need to go over to this piece. And how do we schedule? So some of it is process, trial and error. Some of it is, we have to do this now because it's not going to be meaningful tomorrow. We're having a installation training on a job site that has to be done by a certain time. So we try to be mindful of getting that content, honing it so it becomes something, and then scheduling it. When is it going to get put up? And sometimes we have a schedule and something gets bumped because something important came up and we've got to get that out. So we've realized that you can't just wing it the whole time. You've got to put some management to it.
Oh, 100%. So when we're talking about this kind of content collection and all that, are we mainly talking, with this video stuff, is this stuff mainly going on social media, as in YouTube too? Or where is this going that we're talking about?
Well, we utilize most of the primary social media platforms. So LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Mm-hmm. We don't do anything on X right now, TikTok. And each one of those things serves a purpose for us. So LinkedIn is sort of the place we go for the more polished professional pieces of information, new hire announcements, job position posting, the typical LinkedIn stuff. But we might share an accolade on there, somebody who's been certified to do something, or Arnold Lumber's Dealer of the Year award, something like that, where we want to promote in that sort of industry network social environment there. But we'll also use LinkedIn for promotion to push people to other socials. So breaking ground is a concept that we came up with out of this social media content. There was a lot of cool things happening on job sites or happening in the yard, and there was so much of it that it felt constrictive to have to plug it into a 45 to a minute 15 little reel to post up on Instagram. And we felt like if we could tell a longer story, I think some of this would really be compelling. And it wasn't long before it turned into this old house type of format, but from the lumberyard's perspective. So from the lumberyard's perspective, I think the interesting twist on it is that we're kind of the conduit we're the connection of the building material supply companies that have great innovations and product solutions, and the builders who need to solve these problems and are looking to those guys to do that. And we are kind of the middleman in that. Mm-hmm. So we're procuring these and distributing these so that you can do it, and making sure that we learn about them from our suppliers so that we have enough knowledge to recommend them on the other side. But from from a content standpoint, who's better than the lumber yard to kind of connect all of those dots?
Right.
And so now we can get footage from wide span open joists getting loaded on a truck and delivered somewhere to the builder and their expertise on how they utilize that and put it in, and ask all the questions in between. And it's at least interesting to watch if you're interested in that type of thing, but it's also a learning opportunity. It allows us to show these products from these great suppliers, and it allows us to promote our building partners, our contractors in our area, so that people get to know them. When you think about social media, it's social, right? The whole point of it is getting to know, sharing, connecting, engaging. And, the old way of advertising, a billboard, a radio spot, sponsoring the Little League t-shirt situation, those are all great sort of presence things, but it's hard to really get to know a company. Well, we got this great outlet where you can kind of get to know us. We're Arnold Lumber. Here's who we are. Here's who we're about. And oh, by the way, here's such and such builders. We're going to show you what they're about. And so now, if you're in this market and you're thinking about building a house and you saw somebody build a low carbon footprint home, or another builder who specializes in beautiful hardscape masonry, you got to know them because you saw what they did. You even could hear people from that company talking about how they approach a product. And all we're doing is capturing it. We do it every day anyway. The content is happening, whether we capture it or not. There's stuff happening right now while we're on this podcast that we're probably missing. That's really cool. Capturing that and showing it, that idea of putting it into anywhere from a 10-minute to a 22-minute show format, it just was natural. It was easy. The suppliers loved it. Builders loved it. They were able to get their message out. Now, all of a sudden, not only is Arnold Lumber promoting ourselves and them, we're adding another service, aren't we? So now a contractor who may not have a sophisticated marketing department or even know where to begin for a social media presence might want to partner with Arnold Lumber because they can do that for me. I'm not charging them to be part of this show. It's just an added value that you get because we appreciate you as a partner, and we want others to know what great work you do so that they keep doing it, so that you better your business, so that we better ours, so that we better our suppliers, so that we continue to grow. And it's happening anyway. Why shouldn't we show this? So anyway, it's long-winded, but that's where the show was born. It was just happening. Now, there's a lot of stuff that has cameras and microphones and wait, stop, do that again. And then editing all together and trying to stay on a schedule to put it out on a regular basis, finding an algorithm on YouTube so that it gets, but that happens. I think the key is just do it. And don't be afraid of it being wrong. Don't be afraid of it being bad. Not everything's going to be great all the time. You don't have to wait for it to be perfect. It's okay to just get some of it out. You're still getting to know me, the boring parts, the exciting parts, even the mistake parts. Let's get it out there and let people learn. So
that's great. And perfect doesn't exist I think that's such a trap that we can put ourselves in, is waiting and really just ruminating on what's good and what's not instead of really just doing it. And that was a recent video we posted of Matt at our conference where he was saying, just execute. It's great advice, and it's so true. So listening to you, it just makes me think that you guys are really content kings. Everybody's doing these kinds of things like you're saying, but you guys are let's take it, and let's at least store it so that we have it, so that we can use it if we want to. And very interesting about how Breaking Ground was born. And it really just shows the different purposes of the different platforms, because you guys were on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and then you're like, but we want to do something different. And then there's YouTube, this whole other
Right.
platform
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is specifically for this long form content. So it's so great that you guys are utilizing these different platforms really in the way that they're meant to be utilized. So.
And you don't even necessarily know for sure how to utilize them until you start having content and want to figure out how to get it out there. In January 24, we had 9 YouTube channel subscribers because, well, you have to be on YouTube, so we should put some stuff on YouTube. Well, we got this video of the Anderson window bit that came up. Okay, but YouTube has a real purpose if you use it the right way, if you've got a way to drive it. And once we started to realize, okay, we can't put those long forms on Instagram, but on Instagram, we can put the short piece of it and promote through our bio to go to YouTube and see this if you're interested. And then they come. Today, we have over 400 some odd subscribers. And you think about followers versus subscribers versus viewers. If you're a subscriber, you're looking for this. So to go from 9 in January 24 to over 400 in January 25,
that's some huge growth
for subscribers on a Lumberyard YouTube channel, to us says somebody cares. So we might as well keep putting this stuff out there. And there hasn't been a week that we haven't grown. Now, is there a spike and a bit of a plateau? Sure, that will happen when you get there. But it's very cool once you start to get a rhythm in this to see, all right, this is what people are responding to. So, using YouTube for what it's for is nice if you have it. And almost all of us have it. It's just, can we bundle it up and put it up there?
To be doing what you were doing on social media and then to say, there's more we want to do. Like, that is innovation, totally. What did those kinds of conversations look like at Arnold Lumber between you and whoever else?
It wasn't really complicated. Matt Smonik, he had a vision and some ideas around what he needed. He knew that he wanted to have a spark and a jolt to call it promotion, marketing, whatever you want to, but awareness. We want to gain market share. How do you gain market share? You need people to know what you're about and what's going on to give them a reason to want to partner with you. How are we going to get people to know that? I don't know. That's what Matt is saying. Why don't we get somebody who does that on our team? And why don't we connect sales and marketing under one umbrella? You'd be surprised how many times there's a sales team and a marketing team, and they're each doing their thing, and they're so focused in their direction of what they think their direction is that they forget that they're partners, they're connected. But why have a marketing department if you're not selling something? And why market something that you're not selling? And, those things have to get connected. And why have a sales, the sales team needs to let marketing know what their needs are. If you could have, this connection where, okay, there's a sales and marketing director, so that finally finds a point where those things will stay connected. So he just said, I don't know how to do this. Let's get someone who has some ideas about it. They don't have to be from the lumber industry. We got that part covered. We need to get some fresh ideas around how we get messaging out. And like I said, when I started seeing things all over the place, I just got so excited. And it literally was just, picking up the phone while I was walking around. Some of it was take it home and show my wife, you got to see this. You're not going to believe it. Or, showing my brother how they stack up a truck. So, and they were looking at it saying, wow, that's cool. So we got to get this out. So it's just a meeting of 2-3 people, the little marketing team that meets every other week, throwing these ideas around. The credit goes to an executive management team that said, all right, let's give it a shot. You've got somebody new on the team. I was, like I said, I wasn't there very long before we started pushing this stuff out, and some trust being placed in, all right, we're going to give you some freedom to do some of this stuff. And, it wasn't haphazard, and I wasn't just throwing things up left and right. I was collecting what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And then little by little, less, giving me more rain and more rain, and putting, and then getting some guidance to put some, we have this initiative. Can you tie something to this initiative? All right. Well, then that's a new thing. But once I let the folks here realize, who do this every day and don't necessarily realize that the thing they're doing is compelling, and let them know that you guys are numb to it because you do it every single day, others are going to find this not just interesting, but a builder might find it as a reason to choose us over someone else. And I remember, you're getting it when your operation manager calls you. Hey, Tom, Chris, listen, we're loading up a truck with a bunch of 24-foot beams that are going up to a 5th-story floor in a high-rise in downtown Providence on a boom truck. Now, normally the marketing department would say, well, what are you telling me for?
Yeah.
The fact that he says, is that a thing? Yeah, that's a thing. When are they going? They're pulling out about a half hour or so. Yeah. All right, I'm coming. So now everybody. So, when I started thinking about being on the podcast, who does what, who collects content, we get input from all directions. Hey, Tom, I think this is a thing. Hey, they're re-shingling the roof. Hey, we're putting in a new design center. You want to do a time lapse of putting the new flooring in. Everybody's pitching in. So, when your operation manager, who's focused on making sure deliveries get out on time, calls you and says, hey, we're doing this. Do you want to video it? Something good is happening. So it's just in our heads now. And the more we do it and the more they're sharing it, each department gets proud of their contribution, the thing that they did. That boom truck would have gone to downtown Providence. They would have lifted that stuff up to the 5th story, and they really would have satisfied a builder's big dilemma. Because how am I going to get these beams up there any other way? The boom truck driver would have known, and the site super would have known, and maybe a couple of passersby, and that would have been it. Instead of the however many thousand people who saw the, 2-minute video. Whoa, that's way cool. And I didn't even know they did that. Now you've got something going on.
Yeah, that is some impressive work. How could you not, document that?
Right.
So, yeah, you talking about that really just shows why Arnold Lumber was chosen as a dealer of the year for this year, because you guys are just taking risks, trying new things, and it's paying off. And I can also just hear how much how passionate you are about what you do. And that gets you far, to care about what you do and to put your heart into it. I'm curious, as we're kind of talking about you guys putting this content out on the internet, have you been able to see kind of who your audience on YouTube and social media is, as you're putting this content out? Is it your builders? Are they interacting with you? New builders, homeowners? Who have you kind of seen as your audience?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix of builders and homeowners. A lot of suppliers too, believe it or not, chiming in.
Yeah,
even suppliers who aren't in the same supply category, commenting and chiming in on what they're seeing and learning. But the builders, the contractors, I think for sure is probably the most engagement that we get. My guess is there's plenty of, we get a DM from a homeowner asking about this or that, or, hey, I saw Steve Demetric on that episode of Breaking Ground. How do I get hold of them? That sort of thing. But man, the builders really, they'll tell each other nice work when you dial down into the comments, and even offline, get off the digital devices, they're talking to us. So our OSRs are all out there in the field, and they're being asked about this and that. Hey, I got a job that's going on down in Jamestown. I think would be really cool to show. And they start to care about it and ask questions. So, we utilize the statistics from each of the platforms, and we pay attention to the growth rates. And, over the past year, we know that, Instagram went from 1,200 to 1,600 for 29% growth, or Facebook increased this percentage. Our LinkedIn, I think we grew 77% in followers on LinkedIn. So we've got some metrics and some data. And if you deal with it, you'll learn that some of the platforms only keep it for so long, and you can only measure so many months. So if you really want to know a 2-year span, you kind of have to keep track yourself on some of these things. But we get direct feedback. And, for a while, it was hard to tell for sure a very specific ROI. And that's always a marketing department's dilemma, right? Is can you really tie a specific sale to a specific campaign? Most of the times not. Most of the time your campaigns are reach over frequency and how, trying to get exposure on a broad, diverse strategy. But we've very recently, we launched our multifamily commercial division. We did a very specific social media campaign around that, introducing our new head of that division. And specifically from that, an email came because there was an email contact within the social media post to that, hey, I saw your Instagram. We're doing a project. I'd love if you put a bid on it. And we got the first project. Then we just did another promotion with 2 inquiries specific to the promotion. Now, maybe that multifamily commercial division is a little bit different because they're looking for bids and they need more. And so there's a specific initiative to reach out. Plus, it's new. On the private residential side, we have such strong market share already that it's not as noticeable as a whole new division and different folks reaching out to us. But we can already attribute now, very recently, specific dollar sales to some of these initiatives because we were able to track it from an email inquiry citing one of the promotions.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing all that, Thom. You guys, I'm just listening like, wow, you guys have it figured out. Like,
I wouldn't go that far, but I will tell you that it's because of a supportive team. Bottom up, top down, the team understands the overall focus and mission. And there is an energy at this company that allows for this kind of creativity and innovation.
Yeah.
We've just decided that rather than wait to see somebody else do it or find who's got the manual for it, let's just go. Let's go with our gut.
Good for you.
Let's create the manual. And some of it will be wrong, but most of it will be, even if it's just different enough to get attention. And if we get attention, the rest of the team can go from there. But if we can't even get attention, then we're not even in the batter's box, So,
Sure.
So it's kudos to this company and ownership and the executive management team to have the wherewithal to allow this to happen, and then an awesome team here that just lives it and enjoys it and has a culture around wanting to be proud of the place that they work at every day.
Sounds like you guys have an amazing team.
No, it really is.
So you guys just wrapped up your first season of Breaking Ground, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. We just put up episode 1 of season 2 premiered last week.
Nice. Okay.
We're not wasting any time.
No, you're killing it on social media in the sense, like I see on Instagram how you guys are collaborating with these brands that you're working with, just expanding your reach, expanding their reach. You guys are, you really are a partner to your builders and these manufacturers, just doing everything so well. Do you have now that season 2 of Breaking Ground is out, do you guys have any goals for maybe this year for your marketing department, for social media, or are you still kind of just going to keep pushing what you're doing because it's working?
Well, I think what's new for 2025 is now a better understanding and
Yes.
a momentum and a rhythm that we want to capitalize on. Some experiences that we've learned from. And so it's taking the knowledge from 2024 and tuning up what we've been doing to really try to drive even further for 25. And noticing some of the nuances, like what gets more clicks, more opens, more views. And sometimes you can't tell and you're just guessing. But then sometimes you'll find some common denominators and paying attention to those things. So I think part of the goal for 2025 is looking at all of that and not just saying, oh, wow, that was good. Let's keep doing what we think is, but learning from, tweaking, honing, and improving. There's a big piece of what we do that is not even lumber related. It's community related. So whether we're participating in like the Blessing of the Fleet road race with a Little Arnold Lumber crew that's in with the whole town that celebrates this fun tradition in town, or we're doing Miss to Muse kayak race, or the Toy Drive, or Gloria Gemma Breast Foundation Hot Wings Challenge. These things have nothing to do with lumber, but they do have to do with social, and they do have to do with getting to know Arnold Lumber, the company's personality, if it's such a thing. But so I think in 2025, we're going to pay attention to those aspects too, the non-lumber aspects of being a real partner just in this community, even if it's not a specific lumber initiative. Because again, we keep going back to this social. It's business, it's sales. And like I said earlier, when you talked to me about my background, the one thing I've learned is you like to do business with people that you like. You like to do business with people that are kind of aligned with some of your initiatives and some of the things that you find important, even if they're not specific to the business, you still find them important. Those are good partners. So if the goal is to make more partners and to do more with the existing partners, and God forbid, and to not lose partners we already have, those are some of the things that we're trying to keep in mind for 2025, and paying attention to. The way to do that might not be the obvious. It might not just be putting the ad in the magazine with the logo of the supplier and a phone number. It might be, here's something else we do in case you want to get to know us better.
Oh, that sounds amazing for 2025. So for my final question for you, which is how I'm closing out all of these podcasts, is asking for advice. And you guys are doing a lot on the digital landscape. I would say most, dealers are on the social media platforms, but maybe not a YouTube presence. So, I mean, from your perspective, for people in the LBM space looking to just further that online presence and really utilize it and leverage it, what would be some advice you would give?
I mean, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to look silly. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Look, you want to be mindful. You've got a brand. You could, I guess, potentially destroy it with one bad post if you're not careful. But using some common sense to say this isn't going to hurt anything. Let's show this. Let's show raising the flag in the flagpole before you open up the store in the morning, or how the crew gets together for their pep rally before they head out is to not be afraid. Try things, put stuff up, see what works, see what doesn't. What makes you unique? Look inside, take a look at your company. Maybe take a week and just take your phone and go into every piece of the different parts of your lumber yard, of your company, of who's in the accounting office, and hey, what's your name? What's your position? What are you doing today? And just all of a sudden you might stumble right into something that you didn't realize was a gold mine. Just kind of let loose a little bit. Social media is okay. When you talk about there's no such thing as perfection. And if you try too hard to get perfection, you're going to miss something. I think people, at least in the social media realm, whether it's personal or professional social media, is imperfection is interesting.
Yeah.
You kind of look for that a little bit, like, they made a mistake when they said that and they redid that, or they did this wrong and stripped it down and redid the whole thing, or he said that. But people don't care, and then they're not holding you to that. They understand that the big picture goal of this was the message you were trying to get across, and that's what they're left with. Not that you used the wrong grammar or, said
it's
something.
Relatable.
It makes it real. So if you can be real, I think that authenticity brings credibility. And if your goal is you want people to get to know who we are, well, you can't be fake, or you're doing the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Be who you are. Don't be afraid. Try some stuff. See what sticks. Try some more stuff.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you so much for sharing what you guys are doing, how it all got started. Where can people find you online, and what can they search up?
Well, I mean, if you just, to make life easy, if you go to our website, you can find all our social channels. If you go to YouTube and put in Arnold Lumber, you'll find the Breaking Ground series in there. So typical search engine ways, you won't miss us in there. And if anybody's listening to this podcast, watching or listening, has a question, they can reach out to you or me or however, and ask questions, share ideas. I'd love to hear what someone else is thinking about doing too, and collaborate a little bit that way. I mean, I'm not looking for my direct competitors down the road here to learn more, but I'm not so worried about that. I take the risk to put this out in hopes of getting some other people to share the things that they've done. So.
Well, I will share your email in the description of this podcast. Go check out Arnold Lumber on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. See what we're talking about. Thom, again, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Sally, thank you. It was an honor. Hope to be back again.